Scuba Obsessed, the weekly podcast. We talk about all things scuba diving, from cool new gear to places to dive and scuba news. Scuba Obsessed episode 508 is recorded live September 9th, 2021. Welcome back to Scuba Obsessed. I'm Darrin Gilson, coming to you from the southwest side of the great state of Michigan. Joining me once again, we have Mack, the dive mentor. How you doing today, Mack?
Doing very well. We've had some nice diving for the last 5 days. We've had a couple of storms, but all in all, it's September.
Yeah.
The last hurrah.
Yeah, it is. It's in this is the weather where the water hasn't realized it needs to be cold again. So you can kind of sneak in and get a little bit of that end of the year warmth still out there.
We've got about a month to go before the leaves start to fall. Once they start to fall, then the river diving's out.
Yeah, the poplar trees in my yard started falling earlier in the week. So about Monday, I came outside. I'm like, darn it, I just mowed. What's this happening? And they'll go first. Maples haven't even hinted at turning, but that won't be too long. Yeah, it will be here before we know it. We'll have some of that happening. So let's see. I'd like to thank everybody who's in the chat room. We have Dave, Aaron, and Derek are in there. So thank you very much. Appreciate everybody who listens, and on YouTube, we're slowly crawling our numbers up. Still have quite a ways to go, but it'll take a while. And then last week's episode, as everybody had said, the chat room was right. We did run into some issues with there being a delay. I don't know what it is, so I've rebooted my system clean, and they'll let us know if we get that delay again. But it's something odd. I'm going to blame my system, but I'm not quite sure what it is that was causing it.
So we know it's not happening tonight?
So far, nobody's told me. Nobody's yelling at us. I like it when they don't yell at us. Well, let's jump right on into the news. First article that we have up is after 2 years in Georgia. This is from the Journal Courier. Heavy lifting is nearly done. Can we believe that? Say it's not possible. It's been an easy, cheap story for us for about every week for the last 3 years. It says 2 years ago, but 2 years after the cargo ship overturned along the Georgia coast, heavy lifting to remove most of the vessels nearly done. Though further breakdown of the wreckage and final cleanup is expected to take several more months. Wednesday marked the second anniversary of capsizing of the South Korean freighter Golden Ray, which was tipped over shortly after departing Port of Brunswick on September 8th, 2019. The crew was rescued safely, but hauling away the shipwreck, including its cargo of 4,200 automobiles, turned into a slow and messy demolition effort. Roughly 3/4 of the vessel remains have been removed since November, when salvage crews began slicing the shipwreck into 8 giant chunks. A towering crane straddled the wreck, using brute force to drag the length of anchor chain through its hull like a blunt-edged saw. You know, I was thinking, because there were vehicles in there, weren't there? They were just like sitting there because it was a cargo carrier.
Oh.
I bet they could have gotten it out if they'd found the people who stripped the cars in 5 minutes in Detroit. I think that's what they needed to do, is, do it as like a little bit of an incentive, or have it as like a challenge, do like a little bit of lottery.
Or free. Have it free.
Free.
Take what you can get.
Yeah, free. Take what you can get, almost upside down and sideways on a wreck in the middle of nowhere. But
it's an ecology dive.
Yeah, that is an
ecology dive.
That is the
ultimate. Come out there.
Yeah, that would have been the ultimate.
Imagine?
Oh, yes, I can imagine, but not practical.
I don't know. It wasn't that deep.
So
if you get there early, get the ones close to the doors.
Yeah. They're saying on Wednesday, the last two big sections remain in the water off St. Simons Islands, about 70 miles south, which is 112 kilometers of Savannah. The final cut to separate them was finished over the weekend. Workers used mechanical crane to pluck cars and SUVs from the interior of one remaining sections to shed some of the weight before loading it on the barge in the coming days. The Coast Guard Petty Officer Second Class Michael Himes, a spokesman for the multi-agency command overseeing the demolition. Another barge is being prepared to carry the ship's final section and is expected to be ready for at least another week. It's obvious we are very close to the end of the wreck removal phase. We are committed to being as safe now as we were throughout the response, so slow and smooth and steady helps us stay safe. Even after giant chunks of the shipwreck are out in the water, the salvage job is far from over. At least 3 sections of the ship, possibly 4, will be needed to broken down further for the local dock before they can transport it to the barge for scrapyard in Louisiana. I'm said it should take several months. Meanwhile, crews will need to recover cars and other debris that fell in the water as the Golden Ray was being carved into giant pieces. Then they have to remove metal shipping containers and rock placed around the partly submerged wreck to stabilize it during demolition, as well as take down the giant mesh barrier installed around the site that contains the debris. I wonder how the oil recovery came about. I haven't heard anything on that. Did that?
If it had been real bad, I think you would have heard a lot from the environmentalists. I think they said there's that oil and debris, but I think it's collective, almost a 50-mile stretch, though, from that whole little line. And I think the biggest part is it's in the marshes. So it's not necessarily the humans are seeing it, but vegetation and the animal life is what has been impacted.
Yeah.
And I've not seen any pictures of that either, which surprises me.
We saw a little bit at the beginning, but sometimes it's hard to tell if they're stock photos or if they're the actual real photos current. Well, let's take a look at this next one. We have Brownie Marine Group, a complete acquisition of Submersible Systems Incorporated. I don't think we had talked about this one before because I didn't remember it. Brownie Marine Group, which is a leading developer, manufacturer, and distributor of tankless dive equipment and high-pressure air and industrial compressors in the marine industry, announced it had completed the acquisition of Submersible Systems, which is a manufacturer of life-breathing systems based in Huntsville, California. Submersible Systems produces spare air. It's that redundant air supply that, as divers, we see in the dive shops and laugh at because what's that, like 2 breaths?
Actually, they are better than that, and they have 2 sizes,
They have multiple sizes now.
Right. And, it's really a big deal if you're a helicopter pilot, especially in the military, because they have those, especially when you work around water. If the chopper goes down, you want to be able to get out, and it's a little harder to do that in a chopper. And they actually have the spare airs as part of their emergency gear.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. If you're
absolutely,
any breath you can have that you wouldn't have is a great breath of air. So,
especially if you're talking, the first 15, 20 feet.
Yeah, and part of it, just like with scuba diving, it's trying not to panic. You're in a stressful situation. Your helicopter, your plane's going down. You're probably starting to roll and the water's coming up the canopy. If you can get out, that will give you a little bit of confidence that you can get to the surface. Because
you've got time to disconnect your harness, find the emergency door, and rotate out. And if you've ever been in a dunk tank, that ain't that easy.
I have not been in the dunk tank, but I have seen that some of the training that they go through, and that's tough.
And that's for a regular aircraft. Chopper is a little bit different in that they invert, and then you got a lot more stuff on top of you than you did a canopy.
Yeah, because when on the chopper, the weight's up high, isn't it? Is that why it inverts when it goes in the water?
Well, yeah. Well, depending on the chopper and the type, did it have flotation gear, control crash, how bad are the seas? There's so many variables.
So it says, we are excited to partner with the management team at Submersible Systems, which has a long history providing life-saving equipment and the perfect addition to our portfolio of companies. This is the first acquisition we've made since we began strategic initiative to find companies that have unique technologies and manufacturing know-how in the industry, recreational aquatic industries, and the perfect size for first transaction, says Chris Constable, CEO of Brownie's Marine Group. Submersible Systems has a revenue of approximately $1.8 million in 2019, reduced by the effects of COVID on their customer base in 2020 to 1.4. Believe that their balance sheet is strong. They have excess capacity that will provide a warehousing or production advantage on the West Coast. Among the many things we like about Submersible Systems is they've been in business for approximately 40 years, making quality products in the United States, just like we do here at Brownies. They're also a U.S. government-approved contractor, making life-saving devices that relies on many militaries around the world, which will allow the combined entities to leverage combined technology to expand the U.S. government footprint of product offerings. Now, in the spare air, do you think, if you're using it in aircraft, isn't it almost like a fire extinguisher? You buy it once and it just kind of sits there. They probably have
I would hope it just didn't sit there. I'm sure they got a checklist on it that you check it, and it's charged before every flight.
Is that something that would be on a pre-flight checklist to check the spare air?
It sure as hell be on mine, I'll tell you that. Did you go to see some of the other items that they sell? That Blue 3, by the way. What that is it a battery-powered hookah rig?
You're talking about Submersible Systems or Brownie?
Well, we're talking about part of their stuff is the Blue 3. That's one of the items they own and they sell. So it's not just spare air, but it's called Nomad. I don't know if you're familiar with it. That's one of the types they have. They also have a smart reg. So they do sell quite a few things.
Yeah. Well, and that would be a good acquisition. That makes it an even better acquisition for Brownie, because then that's that really goes well with their products. Is Brownie like one of the primary suppliers for hookah?
I don't know. I know back in the old days, Browning was one of the ones you would talk about when you got one. And if I look at it, it's a more modern version, because the ones we used to have were engine driven. The one I'm looking at here is a battery driven. It's pretty nice. They also have the Nomad online diving training course. So if you got this and you're not scuba qualified, at least they have a training course for it, but I don't know what it is yet. I haven't looked at the training course, but it's free. You buy their rig, you can get the training course.
Oh, wow.
And isn't that what we always talk about, though, is where you buy some of these items and what kind of training did they have?
Yeah.
Because you know as well as I do, 30 foot on a hookah, you can blow your lung really. 10 feet on a hookah, you can blow your lung.
Yeah. So that Blue 3, so that's one that Brownie had then.
Yep.
Okay. I'm bringing it up right now. That's kind of a nice looking product. So you're a snorkeler and you drag that behind and it gets you down. I mean, that for most people, that does need they do need to address the training, which it sounds like they are. Oh, there you go. Your favorite thing there, is doing a little bit of metal detecting.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was down at the harbor a couple of weeks ago, cruising around looking at some of the boats and talking to some of the crew. And it surprised me how many of them either have a dive rig on board, meaning a regulator and tank, or a hookah rig. And I was curious, why do you have it? And he says, well, with the bigger boats, it's cheaper for them to do their own hull cleaning. If they have some kind of issue with their rudder, their prop, their shaft, they go down and take a look at it. And it's like I talked to a couple, they're not scuba qualified, but they're conversant with don't hold your breath type stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't take full scuba certification to use it, but hopefully they've got some sort of, don't hold your breath. Don't.
Yeah, because the Nemo system, max depth is 10 feet. The Nomad max depth is 30, which means I shouldn't say obviously, you're not going to go past that.
Well, part of it is you just don't have enough line, like the shot we're showing here on the screen now. And and this is the blue. But is that battery powered or compressor? I mean,
Yes, battery powered.
battery powered.
Battery powered compressor.
How would this be for the river other than you got your snag hazard?
Well, Jake has one.
Does he have like the blue, or does he have the?
No, he has a different brand, but it's battery operated. I had him out at Paw Paw, and the purpose, of course, was metal detecting.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, you're talking 10, 15 feet max. Generally, you're not even past shoulder high, which is what, 5 feet?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're on the bottom, hey, that's a nice little system. And you've seen the one at Wolf's, right? It basically has a flotation ring. You put your tank.
Yep.
You're not wearing a BC.
Yep. You know, and for anybody who's wondering, they're not a sponsor. We're not getting any money from this. We're just interested in taking a peek to see what they have. So this came up. It was released as a press release. So, yeah, they're hoping people do what we're doing with it and talk about it. But I don't have any investments in either of these companies. Tankless diving system, Sea Lion, 2 to 4 divers. That seems kind of a lot, but yeah, that one they're saying they can go down to 65 feet. I bet you that maximum depth just increases the pressure. Land-based systems, yeah, okay, yeah, some good stuff. But you know, us three, we're free from shore connection as a scuba diver. So, but yeah, I look at this a little bit as like a drug dealer. You know, you get them hooked on some of this, and maybe they become full-fledged scuba divers. Get them started in there, and it makes sense. You know, for a boat, you know, you're out there, you got a line caught in the prop, be able to drop down and cut it out. Otherwise, you're doing breath holds and, you know, swim goggles, and but that gets old pretty quick, especially when you're in low vis. Low vis takes a little bit extra time. No, is it not? Oh, here you come back. There we are. Hopefully, it wasn't like I was talking to myself. I heard you. I heard you perfectly fine. That's what it's about. So let's take a look at this next article. This one is, who did this? It's a Pennsylvania newspaper, PA homepage. And it says, and really give everybody a sneak peek about what it is they're doing what we do. This is a guy who is on a lake. I'm picturing something like Paw Paw Lake. He says, for years, people have spent their summers on Harveys Lake, but have you wondered what lies beneath? One man found out in a local history preserve at the bottom. His discoveries give us a snapshot of what it's been like for decades or even centuries. Charlie Riley's boathouse, a treasure trove of things he found scuba diving at Harveys Lake. Each of them is a piece of history. I'm going to just open up another panel so I can continue to read and then let everybody see a little bit of this video there. Can you see that, Mac? That's showing up.
Yes, I see the video of Harvey.
Yep, there he's doing his thing.
Where is Harvey Lake? Because if he's being able to get Civil War artifacts, we need to be going there.
It's Pennsylvania.
Road trip.
Yeah, road trip. He says they stopped making these bottles in the 1900s that would have a cork in them, a little metal tab that sticks out, and you'd pound the tab and then drink from the bottle, which all of us are familiar with those as Hutchies. He found everything from water skis to Civil War artillery. He likes to look at each bottle, thinks each one tells a story. He says, I was sitting on the dock looking at the bottle, wondering who had this bottle, 90-year-old ago, and what did they think when they threw it in? Where did it go and what was in it? Why did they have it? So it's kind of neat to wonder. And he's thinking the exact same things I think when I'm out there.
Sure.
The last person who held that. And then we'll have there's some photos that, we'll get down there and show a little bit. Like this one, Mac. Let's see, right there. That's something out of a horror movie. Baby doll in the lake. This is when you see swim by, it grabs you around the neck. He said he could be on the verge of uncovering another mystery at the lake, a legendary sunken steamboat, at least 80 feet deep. Riley says his real goal is to share it with the kids one day. Or look for the day I can take he as well as my daughter hopefully diving with me. It's a great excitement I can look forward to. Charlie said one of his oldest finds is a V coin from the 1800s. He says he has no desire to sell any of it. He wants to build some shelves to display his growing collection. Very cool.
And we know what that's like. We always like to see what's on the bottom.
Yeah, you find something different, and everything has a story. It didn't just materialize there. Somebody purchased it, bought it, used it, discarded it. Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of it was just trash. It's like, I'm done with it. But then there's the stuff like kids' toys. You know that there's some kid who was like playing with it, trying to make it float, and it just got away.
Yeah.
Or maybe another kid took it from him and were playing keep away and threw it into the river.
Well, the whole key item, though, is out of sight, out of mind, and that was the key way to dispose of objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ground gets hard during the winter. You can't dig a hole and bury it. Put it in no rowboat, put it back out there on the ice. When the ice melts, there goes the boat and all the stuff off of it.
Well, here in Bering Springs, the dump for many years was next to the river. They had a ferry boat that went across the river before they put the bridge in. There was a restaurant tavern down there, and there was also just a common junkyard. You filled in some of the wetland with whatever trash you had, and that's where it kind of built up.
Well, if you dive right there where the inner urban, the first piling that used to be there, that's now on the bottom.
Yep.
If you dive there, you will find bicycles, automotive equipment. One of the first items we got when we were down there the first time was, remember those auto analyzers?
Yeah.
Used to be in every garage, and the first thing you ran into was a nasty thing going down the side of the cliff.
Yep. Well,
yeah, embankment.
Have a little bit of a local squirrel moment, but you've heard what they're doing with those abutments now.
Yes, they're going to try to build a walkway across, which I think is a grand idea if they get full funding.
Yeah, they've budgeted for it in the township budget. There's a grant available that they're hoping to get. But there seems to be a lot of interest, and I think that there's some grant money. The grant money comes when you spend money. Especially at the local level. So they're hopeful. And there's a lot of, AEP, I&M have been a great local partner with those type of projects. So I think they're looking forward to that. That maybe they'll kick in some. Now here's another one close to home, right around the corner. Shipwreck near Michigan City could become the state's second underwater preserve. This one's from the South Bend Tribune. Said in 9/11, a 211-foot freighter named the Muskegon sank where the fire-scorched hull was abandoned in Lake Michigan. You can see the buoy that marks the watery grave just a little over a quarter mile from Mount Baldy Beach near Michigan City. Now there's an effort to make it Indiana's second underwater nature preserve along the state's 45 miles of the Great Lakes shorelines. Before we get any farther, isn't that already a national historic landmark?
I thought it was too, because they've already done a 3D imaging on that whole item.
Mm-hmm.
And that's several years ago when that was broadcast. The same thing with the prop. Yeah. It's on a display up there in the dunes. Yeah. So I read this and thought, wow, this is a little...
Usually it's the other way around.
I'm not sure what.
Yeah. Well, and so Indiana only has one preserve. They don't have a lot of Great Lakes shoreline. Down,
big time.
Berrien County, I think we've got about as much shoreline in our county as they do in the whole state. Maybe not. Maybe, well, pretty close though. When you think about Berrien,
they don't have much.
Berrien County's is a big county, and it's a long county with a lot of shoreline that touches Chicago, by the way, when you think about it. Yeah, because they've got Indiana has from Hammond, Indiana, all the way. You got Portage and yeah, I'd have to. We'll pull up a map maybe. But the preserve would set rules and boundaries for boats so they don't set anchor and rip into visible remains like major segments of the ship's main frame and sidewalls, its steam engine, twin boilers, propeller, and its dive shaft. For landlubbers, the preserve would mean virtual tours, interactive signs, along with historic buoy, which is also 1.5 miles from Michigan City's Washington Park Marina. The director of IU Center for Underwater Science, Charles Becker, a diver himself, is helping the state to nominate the site as a preserve. He'll speak about Muskegon at 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time, Saturday at Michigan City's library. Becker's asking members of the public to help nominate the site as preserve through Indiana's Department of Natural Resources. You can do so by emailing a note to scuba@indiana.edu with your name and why you support the preserve. Beaker also had to help establish the state's J.D. Marshall Preserve for 2019 shipwreck along the Indiana dunes and the coast in 2013. That's a 154-foot craft hauled freight and sand, capsized in a storm, killing 4 on board, according to the 2018 paper. Now, I have not dove on the Marshall. I have on the
Marshall or Muskegon.
I've dove on the Muskegon, but I haven't on the Marshall. Yeah. Yeah, the Muskegon, it's a nice shallow wreck. We like to hit it earlier in the year. It's like one of our first, second, or third dives typically when we get out in the big lake.
Oh, start shallow and work your way up.
Yeah, it's a nice shallow wreck. Yeah, it's a fun dive. It's a good beginner dive. There is potential for some penetration if you are experienced and trained and appropriate. I don't know if I've done that or not. I've been in, but I think I might be a little bit large for the. You can swim through the boilers, what some people are doing there. But I'm kind of surprised that they're trying to make that a preserve, and good for them. As somebody who's on the board of our local preserve down here, I wish them luck. I hope it works out well. There's a lot of excitement, and actually that would make them. Would that make them bordering our preserve, or is the other one? Oh, so we need to see a preserve map.
It'd be nice if they put a permanent buoy on it, on the 2 major artifacts like the shaft. Nothing's going to move if you hook it around the shaft, and they're not going to do any damage to it.
Yeah, and maybe
one off to the side to one of the boilers. That would give you more than one area to moor if you had more than one boat out there.
Yeah, because with it being a shallow wreck, you have to drop an anchor on it. I mean, you try not to snag the wreck. That one's usually pretty easy to pick up on most sonars, so.
There's a lot of junk out there, yeah.
And it really is a junky type of wreck. I mean, it's shallow. Ice messes with it, and surprising it's in as good a shape as it is, as long as it's been there. It's quite a large wreck.
It's got to be an older picture of the prop, though, because the quaggas and zebras have been getting knocked off pretty good, and that still looks pretty dirty. The propeller in the shaft.
Yeah, I agree. It said photo provided. I know when I first started diving on the wreck, they spent a lot of time photographing and documenting it for being the national preserve.
Yep.
And then it's like once that was like, oh, we're done. Just leave it. Nope. Nobody's spending any time with it.
Well, Mother Nature's going to take what she wants. Yeah. At least they have at this point in time, this is what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, there's another one from the timbers. And it's probably got to been 5 or 6 years since I've been down to dive it.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it's already well known. It burned.
Yeah.
They hauled it out. They tried to salvage it.
Yeah,
So it's been in and out, lots of damage to it. It's like, what are you preserving seriously? Because Mother Nature's going to take her course.
No, really what I think you're doing is you're just trying to make it easier for divers and just try not let it get worse. But it was not treated well in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think if I'm remembering correctly, and this is just off my memory, which isn't the greatest, but that was one that caught fire at dock, and then they push it out in the lake.
Yep, fire scorched tall.
Yep, and then it floated around for a while before it sank. I think it was months it was out there floating. So,
yep, and then that when it broke up is whenever they started to salvage it.
Yeah, because somebody's like, hey, there's a little bit of money here. So yeah.
I like the part where they say, though, if divers are trained for low visibility, because the visibility usually on that wreck is not that good.
No, but
because it's shallow.
Well, it's a good one because there's not a lot of snag hazard. I remember. I mean, you can snag, and there is stuff like you don't want to go swimming quick because when the low visibility you can knock your head into the end of a post.
Yeah.
But I would say it's one of the safer wrecks, partially because of its depth and well known, and the conditions usually, if you don't have high waves, the conditions out there, I've never been out there with any significant current.
Right.
Viz, I think the worst fizz I've had has been 5-6 inches. The best fizz is maybe 8-9 inches. No, I mean, it's probably a few feet.
I've had plus 15 feet out there.
I've never had 15 feet. I've probably had 8 or 9. You can see, like, if there are 3 divers in a group, you can see the diver next to you, and then you start losing the one farthest away. But,
right.
It's a nice wreck. It's not too bad to get to. There's a few spots that you can, there's a public marina there, a couple of them.
And it was almost not braille, but probably 5-8 foot at max. Mm-hmm. And back then, and you're talking a couple of years back, you could actually go through the boilers and the stacks.
Yep.
The highlight, of course, is the prop, because everybody wants to get a picture of the prop. And I don't think we've ever been on it that we did not either get an anchor or a tackle box.
Yep. And something that we need to do as the show is kind of put together a little, like, if you're just in the area for like a week, what wrecks? Oh crap! I just lost you again, Mac. Let me see what the heck's going on here. No, I've got you. There the image came back. Oh, yeah. Okay. So, but we need to put together kind of like, if you're only going to be in the area for a week, what are some good things? And this is a good one where you could dive this one from the shore, but that's a lot of work. Yeah.
No easy access to the beach from the beachhead.
Yep.
Or where the drive is.
Yeah. So you want to get with somebody who can get you out there. But a fish scanner can find this wreck. If you've got GPS and the coordinates are published really well, you can get onto it. But you're in Michigan City. Michigan City's got a casino there. You've got Lighthouse Place, which is some shopping. It's the old Pullman train yard. They've turned that into a shopping location. So there's a lot of stuff touristy to do. So if you have people in the family who aren't divers, they have things that they can do while you're out diving. It's you're not on a boat for 2 hours to get out to the wreck. You're on the boat for maybe 5-10 minutes in the channel and another 5 minutes out there on the wreck. And then on your way in or out, I would probably do it on the way back in, you can dive the breakwater there.
Absolutely.
And that's a nice dive. If you like fish, I mean, you're not going to get tropical fish like you're going to be in saltwater, but there's a lot of lake fish in there. You're going to see the bass and perch and other fish are going to be hanging around the rocks, and whatever happened over the winter will be there. You can always find maybe a jet ski or a sailboat or something stuck there. And that's another shallow. I mean, Muskegon's less than 20 feet. You've got the breakwater is at probably 20, 25 at the most.
Well,
now,
okay. You had 3. The last time we dove there, we had fantastic visibility on the breakwater.
I have had 30 plus feet on the breakwater.
Yep. And that's where you have to see the ski-doo, parts of masts from sailboats that didn't make it.
Yeah.
But you almost had like 3 levels of fish.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If you had a video, you were going to do really, really good on that day.
Yeah, that might be one we need to get out there. Make plans for next spring already, because it's a good, that's our warm-up dive. If you haven't been diving over the winter and you're a little rusty and you want to make sure things are working and functioning, that's a good one to do it on.
And then you go to the Havana, which is 45 feet.
Yep. Yeah, Havana, and out there out of South Haven, Michigan. You got that. That's at 45 feet, and you can do that. Then you want to do a little bit deeper. Then you get to the Rockaway. Do the Rockaway, and now you've done 3. And then usually we have somebody who wants to do the Ironsides up there in Grand Haven.
You can do Mack's Trek at 73 feet.
Yeah, Mack Trek, 73 feet. Numbers are a little bit harder to come by, but you can get out there. And then we've got Ironsides at 125. And then once you've...
That's a nice wreck.
Yeah.
It used to be nicer when it was together.
Right. Yeah. It had the hog arches on it, and those have fallen over, so you don't get it. There's a lot of fishing gear if you like to cut fishing gear. Ironsides always...
Boilers are nice. Yeah, the boilers are great to look at.
Do they call those Jack and Jill, if I remember?
It's Jack and Jill.
Yep, Jack and Jill and the boilers. And that was one of my first deep wrecks coming down. There's something about diving in Lake Michigan where you have a moderate amount of viz, but it's not a bad day. And you're coming down the surface and you're looking, and I've got 15 feet of viz, and you're thinking, crap, I'm not going to see anything. And then you keep going down the line, and you can't see the surface and you can't see the bottom. And then, at least then, the mooring was actually on the wreck. I think they've moved it since. Crap, yeah, there you come back, Mac. There's something.
Yeah, it keeps coming in and out, I noticed.
Yeah, that's a little bit odd. But then you come down the line, and then you can see the top of the boilers. And then as you go down, the wreck starts to open up, and then you can see the whole wreck there. It's a great dive. So I like the Ironsides, and then we also have the Ann Arbor 5. You can stay in recreational limits. You can come down the line, get your photo taken by the prop. Another excellent prop opportunity. Viz is usually pretty good on that wreck. I've had 80, 90 feet of viz. I've had where you can be, because it's in 160 feet of water. For people maybe haven't listened for a while and we haven't talked about it, but this is a vessel that was it late 70s? Because it was used as a breakwater for building the Palisades nuclear plant. And then when they were done using it as a breakwater, I can't say refloated, they put some bulkheads in, cut parts of it up, and then they were going to drag it across the lake as a salvage. And they had crew members on the vessel running bilge pumps. And I think one of them stopped, and it was no longer to keep ahead of the water leaking, and it sank. So it was not a full shipwreck. It had already been cut in pieces. But what happened is what would be the bow section, the bow had already been cut off, but the forward part of the back half speared into the bottom. And the story goes, the people who were on the surface felt it when it went in. And then they kind of just lost where it was. And then later on, it was rediscovered and dove on it. So it speared at a fairly severe, let me see if I get my hand. I mean, it's probably 60 degrees down in the bottom, and the props are up. So it used to be moored. I know in the preserve, it's one that we're in the process of mooring now, but the mooring had traditionally been to the deck. This was a ferry vessel, so it had rails on the deck, and you could come down the mooring at 125 feet and then go out to the props and get a nice photo. Props, depending on the water depth, now that we're a little deeper, it might be 135 or so. But a great wreck. And then if you're in the beginning stages of tech diving, it's a great wreck for that. And then the bottom's at 160. And it's one of those that, like how I said about the Ironsides, when you come down, you can see that. This is one that you can come down and then you can see all the way around it. It's almost like a painting. Like if you're going to paint a underwater wreck, that's one. A little biased. It's in our backyard. It's in the preserve. Well, technically, it's not in the preserve. It's outside the preserve, but we call it in the preserve, and we got permit to moor it. So, hold on a second, Mac. Because what I'm concerned is when the image blanks out, they might not be hearing you. I don't know if that's true, but
I'm back.
you're back. I just have to refresh it. So your audio may not be dying, but
Okay.
yeah. So if chat room,
Yeah, my comment there on the boat there was, we really prefer people not to go to the bottom at 160 and do a penetration. That's been done once by an individual who got back out and said, "Don't nobody ever do that again."
yeah,
It's not a good thing.
yeah, because yeah, I've heard that story too, and that's scary that they were able to make it, because there are spots where somebody thinner than I can squeeze into spots, and it's I would not recommend it.
Yeah, when you got to start taking your rig off to get it through something so you can follow it or drag it after you, that ain't where I want to be.
Yeah, and it's a scrap wreck. It's not worth it. There's not enough to see in it. There's other wrecks that are much better for penetration, so I would not do that. Speaking of wrecks that used to be able to penetrate, another one was a material service barge.
Well, we had a lot of people die on that one back in the day.
Yeah, but
until they started cutting holes and stuff in it, so people had better access and egress to help prevent people from being stuck.
Yeah, there was rumors there was an explosion at one point in time that opened it up.
No rumor. Somebody dynamited it.
Yeah, but the top on that one's collapsed, so it's really looks like a boat with no deck. Last time I was on it, that's been another, that's been
years,
8 or 9 years since I've been out there. And there's also a nice tugboat out there. It's not a big wreck. I mean, you can see everything to see in 5-10 minutes, but there's a tugboat there. So you can do the material service barge, and you can do that. The tug, maybe the Wheeler, I'm remembering.
No, Wheeler is north towards
Buffalo. Okay.
It's pretty much buried.
Okay. Yeah. Now I know. I've never seen that Wheeler, that tugboat. I've asked, and people haven't seen it in a while. Crap, we lost you again. Here, what is the heck going on with this? Why is not liking you today? Here we go.
Pop back in again.
Yeah, I just hit I got a magic refresh button. So, and that's the thing with all the software. They do an update, and it takes a while for it all to settle down. Let's see. I think we got one more article, but we were able to stretch these few articles out quite a bit. Yeah, is that a skill or something else? But here we have divers explore historic shipwreck in Coral Bay Harbor. In mid-July, a team of divers from several organizations took to the murky waters of Coral Bay Harbor to confirm what several local divers had quietly alleged for a long time: the existence of a partially buried ship dating back to the early 1700s that could prove to have great historical significance. Is that Jay Egler, a board member and lead instructor for Diving with a Purpose, was part of a 10-member team that included members of his organization, the National Association of Black Scuba Divers and Society of Black Archaeologists and Search Incorporated. The purpose of the expedition was assist in defining the age of the wreck, assessing its size, documenting part of the ship that's currently exposed. And why is it? Oh, you came back. Currently exposed, nearly 30 feet of the ship is above the muddy bottom, but we still believe, find my spot, but we believe there's more covered in the sand and silt. So, who knows? Yeah, because here's my phone's at 3%. So can you see that? I mean, yeah, but it's happy. I mean, the satellite's working. Yeah, we'll just, maybe, who knows? We'll continue on. Back on this. Just in the age of the wreck, further testing and excavation is warranted. However, given the day of the wreck, Hegler was able to speculate it might be possible that we have stressed the word might. The ship is associated with slave insurrection of 1733. After local divers brought further attention to the Historic Preservation Office. We've covered this one before. I mean, it's a good article if you're into shipwrecks on the East Coast. I'm amazed how often this particular article keeps getting brought back up and up and up.
Is there any current findings on each of those?
Well, that's what I can't find, because it's like I feel like I'm rereading stuff that we've covered before. We dived it, found clay pipes and bottles, muskets, barrels, crossed an anchor. Yeah, these are all just old reports from some as far back as 7-8 years ago. I think now what they're trying to do, I think part of this is looking for money, and then they're in the process, they're trying to create a museum. So I think they try to get the shipwreck people interested in it again, so it helps them with money with doing the museum.
Money is nice.
Yeah, well, you need it. I mean, either you got to be independently wealthy and do it yourself, or you find people with deep pockets or grants or some other. So that's kind of what the purpose this is. So we wish them luck and that they can do it, but unfortunately there's nothing new in this. So that does it for Scuba News. Hopefully everybody who's been streaming along is able to connect and yeah. Karen says it keeps freezing up on me. I'm not sure if it's my connection or yours. It doesn't matter. It's either. If mine's bad, it's bad. If it's you as a viewer, it's bad. You're both going to lose it. So, yeah, mine. I'm not in the past, and I've been on Starlink for, gosh, probably. When did I get on that? I have to look it up. But it's been at least 6 months. And it's been getting better all the time. Well, I say getting better. The quality of the service gets better. The maximums of the service gets worse, and that's because there's more people on it. More people driving down the same road, using the same service. It is impacting the bandwidth. So you see in the message boards, a lot of people complaining they can't get any dates in their Starlink. They have to be able to make the receivers, which the chip shortage has affected them. But then they're also being very careful of where they add somebody. So if you're in an area that's highly used, they have to wait till they have more satellites and ground stations before they can add somebody to it. Well, the next update to the satellite is the satellites will talk to each other with lasers. And that's supposed to increase the services can cover. So they're saying the Antarctic and the Arctic will both be able to have internet. Because now what it does is when I'm talking, like right now when we're streaming, it's going from my satellite dish up to the satellite and then down to a ground station. When they have the interconnects between the satellites, it can hop 3-4 dozen satellites and then come down. So hopscotch connection. But yeah, it's been working for me. My wife complains about how expensive it is, but $100 a month. Yeah, Karen says, I hope I get on it soon. I'm signed up for Starlink. Well, they just announced that I think they've got over 100,000 on it. And they're rapidly increasing the building of it. So I think next year at this time we'll see 500,000. So, yep. And Karen, when you signed up, did they give you an estimated date? What was it? Was it this year? I've heard of some people getting third or fourth quarter of 2020.
Back then.
2022, I'm sorry, is what I meant. Not 2020. Yeah. Get that time machine out. So, okay, well, let's see. Let's talk about some of the diving. How's the diving been going?
The river has been wonderful. Remember last week I might have told you about that place you and I went about.
Yes. Yep.
Well,
Oh, not now you've been back.
oh yeah, 3 times we've been back since last week.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, we've been diving fools out there.
So,
Have you seen the pictures?
oh, but should I take a peek?
No, we put some pictures out there. I think it's on the club site.
I think I did see you talk about it on Facebook.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I'm gonna go on the Facebook now. I'm getting, I make my living off computers, but I really hate the damn things. The Facebook doesn't want you to see what you want to see. They want you to see what they make money on.
Let me tell you, they have so many of those spam advertisements.
Oh,
Even when you report them, you see the same one and they change some kind of name on the top, but the ad, the same item.
yeah.
I mean, you're not going to buy any decent compressor, computer, any of that for $89, period. And why they allow that and why they keep doing it, I just do not understand.
They make money on it. That's
Well, I mean, if they're going to, tell us that we can't do something because we're bad,
hypocrites. I mean,
yeah, well, we know that's for damn sure.
yeah, they don't care. They don't care one bit. So let's see here. How's
Money
this?
talks.
So there's some.
Yeah, now, if you enhance that, you'll notice that's a nice intact jug. I was getting lightning stoppers. I got 2 of those. One bottle was broke. I brought it up anyway because the stopper was still in it. The other one is still got the top on, rusted shut with the liquid in it and embossed.
Now, is this?
I haven't cleaned that one yet.
This photo your finds?
Oh, that was mine and Maribeth's.
Yeah.
And I think Jake had the fishing pole and a few things at the top.
Oh,
he was just going around snorkeling, and picking up stuff. And this was at the launch. He didn't go down to where the good stuff is.
Yeah, there's a crock in there I saw.
Yeah.
Crock, and then you had.
I left that up by the fisherman's. See if somebody would take it. Nobody did yet.
Yeah, and then I saw there was some milk jugs. So how was the milk? Was it a new emboss on it or typical?
I found I've never a WC Rice, and I'd never seen one for that. And I posted on the Niles site to see if somebody knew something about it. I think that was some of the items that Deb got, and that top bottle to the second to the left, you can't really see it very well.
I've talked for years. I need to get some of those old beer bottles and refill them. Now, is that an A&P stamp book? Is that what that is?
It's a miniature something, and the only thing I could think of something like that is part of a chemistry set.
Mm-hmm.
It almost looks like something that might have been a barometer.
Okay.
But I got some video the other day too. I took the car is pretty much filled up again. You'd have to dig it out, jump bottles.
Well, that car had to go through cycles of being buried, because I think when we found it that first time, it's like that's a spot we've been to and just never saw anything, and then here this car's there.
Yeah. So I got pictures of that. Got pictures of a gang box that's full of bottles. What else we got? Oh, I found those 2 boats. And there's a couple of sections, I swear to God, I bet there's 1,000 beer bottles. And that's all in 7 foot of water to the shore, under the trees and stuff. So that's where the leaves are going to fall first and obscure it. Be 20 feet into about 15 feet of water, and you got the sand pumped up over some logs. And that is where some good stuff is if you dig. So I got a couple of keepers for sure. And you can start getting some green and orange glass. Don't know what it is yet, but because most of the stuff I was getting was broke. But yeah, we're going to be going back there again.
Yeah. So here's some more photos from the dive. I think that's from the
Oh,
divers.
that was from the one we did earlier in the week when we were up at Riverview Park, and we went across where it was nice having Jim there with his boat to tow you across because that current would kick your butt. And on the other side, you had a lot of down trees that you really have to be careful of impalement if you're going, the current got a hold of you and switched you back. And definitely carry a knife that you can get to it because you will snag yourself once in a while. Yeah, that's some of the just laying there for you.
Yeah. See, some of them may have been staged, meaning that
none of those are staged.
Oh, these
that
aren't
just the way
collect
nope,
piles.
That's just the way I found them.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because we usually blame you when we find them. We're like, Mack's been here.
That's a very nice bottle there. I got that out. There's two pictures. I think one half dug, come out. That's that WC Rice bottle.
Okay. I like seeing them right there. Yeah, there's your milk bottle.
Yeah, it came out nice.
Hey, your gloves have seen some better days there.
When I started this 3-4 dives ago, those were brand new gloves, and I've got the fingers ripped out of 3 of them.
This is 4 dives?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to grub with the gloves. Yeah, they're not. You're
doing some digging.
Yeah. Well, of course, some of your dives are. How long is some of your dives though at these shallow depths?
Hour and a half, maybe plus. At Pampa, I've been getting over 2 hours on a tank. Yeah. But you're talking 5 and 6 feet though.
Up there, I see you got a friend there in the corner. He's watching.
Yeah, and those are just. Oh, I had one on each corner.
Yeah,
they're by the biggest one to get the crayfish first.
Yeah,
but that's on certain parts of it. You've got the gravel, and up near the trees and stuff that are down. That's exactly what you're finding, just like that. Just laying there. Take me, and you'll notice off by the bottle to the right. That's a medicine, totally in shape.
Yep.
No cork. That was embossed. I did take that one.
And,
I left the bottle though.
And it's not like this is virgin ground. This is stuff that we've been over 100 times.
Yeah, but we've had what? Well, we haven't dove this now for a year and a half, almost 2 years, because of the floods.
Yes.
So all of this that thing was just sitting there. That's a crock, just sitting there. You don't find them standing up. It's like, take me, big sign out, take me, please.
Yeah.
And I did.
You got it.
Actually, I gave it away though. Somebody on the service wanted it, so I gave it to them.
Yep. And what is that collected in? Is that like a tray or something?
Oh yeah, there's looked like a gang box was down there. That's got to be left over from 2 years ago though, because see how the green moss or slime is all over the bottles.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be from a couple of years ago. Or discards, but it never hurts to go back through them sometime.
No. Well, I've found some of my best bottles are the ones that you stacked up and thought were no good. Till you clean them up and get them out of the water, it's sometimes hard to tell what you've got.
Yeah, you've got to be careful what you throw away.
Yeah.
That was a tray. You could see it from 10 feet away.
Just sitting there.
Now, had it been porcelain, I would have taken it. It was aluminum.
Yeah.
Porcelain would have been a nice find.
Because you have to decide. You only got so much room in your catch bag.
Well, you can always come back.
Yeah. Well, what I like to do is if I got any room, I want to bring something up because I don't want to find something I didn't want again. It's better to take it up and throw it away, get the trash out of the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's
another medicine.
And for those who maybe haven't been following the show, this is Niles, Michigan, the city of 4 flags. It's an area that has been occupied by 4 different nations, which is hard to believe. You've got the Americans, the British, the French, and the Spanish. All
not to count the Indians.
Well, the very true there. Exactly. Yep, there's a medicine bottle a little closer up front. I think you're gonna have a lot of love with that racket. Zeros.
But it is an old wooden racket. It was interesting.
Yeah. Give you a little bit of idea how it breaks down, and then you're seeing is that some zebra mussels opened up. How are clams?
No, not zebras. Those are actual clams.
Oh, those are actual clams. I was going to ask how clams were. Last time I dove, there was quite a few.
Very good, especially down at the other end where we were diving. They were really, really nice. But how many wheels, how many hubs?
Mm-hmm.
On the opposite side, you can find mufflers, starters, shock absorbers, steering columns. Where those come from, I have no clue.
Yeah.
A lot of those, people put down as riprap around their yards.
Yeah, there's a lot of automotive parts, and
Yes.
on parts of the river here, there's houses. There's houses up on a hill. There might be
up on the bluff.
Yeah, a bluff. There's a high bank, maybe 20, 30 feet up, and I think some people just like, why take it out and throw it out? I just throw it out the backyard. You throw it high enough in an arc, and you can hear it splash.
Yep.
So. And then I think there's a while there where some people thought that if you threw trash, it would actually attract fish. There's a toilet.
Well, you never know when you got to go.
Yes. Yeah.
It was sort of handy.
Yeah. I mean, wetsuit drivers, we got it built in. Is that a mug there or like a?
Yes, it is. It's just sitting there with a gold band around it saying, "Take me, take me."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, what a
See,
beautiful
if
day
you
that
want to
was.
know why you want to scuba dive in the river, this is it right there.
Oh, absolutely.
I've got to clean out it's part of my time off here is I just don't have enough place to display some of it. I have to give some of my finds up.
I've been giving mine away because I got too damn much.
There's your fish buddy there.
Those are the fish that will be all over you,
Yep.
especially if you got any kind of crayfish.
Yep. It's like they're like, okay, pick up another bottle. I'm ready.
Yep. Move a rock.
And I have seen them get crayfish like they just snap them and get them right now, or get them free meals. They are not afraid of us at all.
I think actually Mary Beth last week, the last night before last, was actually finding neon fish that you would expect to find in a tank, or
really?
Aquarium. Yep, I
Uh-huh.
have seen them before. They're always in 2-3 feet of water, always by the shore, never out, and they're just awesome looking neon fish. I don't know what they are, and I never got a picture of them. But I didn't see any this year. One lamprey that was a couple of dives ago in that same area. But that's across the bridge or across from the walkway, just to the left, and before you get to the first bridge. But there's a lot of trees out there, a lot of snags. And, well, you almost have to anchor your flag because it's going to get snagged on stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you go back with your gear. If you took a goodie bag instead of one at a time things, you could probably collect more, but there's a lot of drag out there. If you didn't have a river stick, you were screwed.
Mm-hmm. Karen was saying they had some great diving in Sheboygan last week. So they
She had some great pictures of her walkabouts too.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I have to.
Well, like I said, I got pictures of the car, the two boats, a nice turtle that was playing around me. And obviously, we're going to go back. So get your suit ready.
Get my suit ready?
Yeah.
Oh.
You're no suitor. You don't. I think I was using nothing. Most of them are using 3 mils just to keep the road rash off you.
Well, mine's.
The bottom
I
rash.
think mine averages a 3 mil. is a 7/8 that's got big chunks out of it. I think that comes out to about 3. I do that so that the water can get out, among other things. Well, do you have a dive safety story for the week?
Well, actually, it's not a safety story per se, but we like to talk about why we dive, and it's a lot of fun. But it's more than that. It's what life lessons can we get from scuba diving? Scuba diving is one of those activities that changes you in many ways, not just through the training, but also by what you see and experience underwater. It has a lasting effect on how you experience the world above, actually. Now, a lot of sports and hobbies can reinforce your character and teach you valuable life lessons. So what parallels can we draw from scuba diving? Now, diving that translates into lessons we can take with us and apply in a day-to-day life. Now, I can think of at least 5 ways in which we think scuba diving has changed our lives. Probably the biggest one is becoming more appreciative of nature. I was really not.
Thank you. Those are good words. And while you were chatting, I'm sitting here fighting with YouTube and streaming. So hopefully. Yep, so we're there. Okay. Well, that was a good story. So hopefully I don't have to cut all that out because it got corrupted.
Hopefully.
So then this weekend, you said there's going to be some diving going on?
Hope so.
Trying to think of when I could fit.
High noons are always the best because
I agree.
We're getting towards the end. It's lousy. Lots of. When we came back, and God, I can't. We've been diving so much, it's hard to remember which day it was.
Mm-hmm.
It must have been Monday, the holiday. That boat launch, every place you could put a boat or a car with a trailer was full.
How's it been with the fishermen and the boat users? Have they been pretty cooperative?
They've been in the middle or the opposite side.
Okay. Because I know they can get a little bit grumpy. That's some of the. I love diving there, but there's just certain people, they just get really aggressive against the scuba divers, and that just makes it no fun because I don't want to go there. I can go to work and get aggravated. I don't need to do it on my time off, and I hate feeling like I'm giving in, let somebody be a jerk, but
I don't remember really ever having an issue with a fisherman.
I've in Niles, I've had it 3 different times.
Really?
Yeah, and the same thing in St. Joe. It's usually somebody thinks that you're there to mess with their lines or to scare the fish away or something, and I just have had problems there by the piers normally. I usually, if they've got, I haven't had any problem with anybody with a boat, but it's usually the shore fishermen that I've had.
If you're on the pier, though, I usually go down and talk to them before I go down. Say, I'm by my flag. If I find anything interesting or any parts I'm going to bring up and leave on the boat on the side, if you see me come up and there's something I'm holding you want, come get it.
Yeah. Well, and
usually by then they're saying, okay, go find me something.
Yeah. That's an excellent approach, but most of these times it's been they weren't there when I went in.
Yep.
So they came later, and then they're just it's happened 2 or 3 teams. I mean,
my standard answer is always the same. I'm doing cladophora studies and fish vegetation investigation.
That's good.
And I report it to U of M.
Yep.
You got a problem with that? Talk to the DNR.
There you go.
They usually shut the hell up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people tend to respect people working. So let's see. Anything else you want to cover before we get on out of here?
Nope. I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah.
It was nice having those pictures to look at.
Yeah, those are great photos. Thank you for putting those in there. And I think
I'm going to try to get some of that crap to you that I've got that I have not put on anything. So
I need some of the videos. I'd love to edit some videos of a dive that you've done there in the river and let people see some of them.
Some of them are nice because some of them are actually very clear. So you got to go through a whole bunch to get, 30 seconds a snippet of something good.
Yeah. That's kind of the challenge of that. I've had a few ideas of some stuff we could do with them, but for the vast majority of time, and usually for me, in an hour and a half dive, it's 50 minutes of and then right as you get to the end is when you hit the honey hole.
It's always that way. And I'm down to 500 pounds. And, oh my God, look at that.
Yeah, you're sitting there thinking, well, do I need to empty the bag because there's better stuff I'm finding now?
And I'm on this side of the river and I still got to get back.
Yep.
Well, 500 pounds. If you got Big John out there with a boat, you can do that. If you ain't got Big John with a boat, you ain't going to stick around to 500 pounds and try to get back across that river.
No. Yeah, definitely the amount of time you dive is very dependent on what side of the river you're on and how much air you've got.
I never go more than 1,000 pounds before I try to go back across. I mean, because you just don't want to get out and get lost.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank everybody who's listened to the program, which we've done a couple times tonight. But we're hoping that you're enjoying this and that you're getting some amount of value. If you are, whatever that amount is, send it to us. You know, if it's $1, if it's $5, if it's $1,000, who knows? Whatever you're getting value out of this program, we would certainly appreciate if you could share it with us. If you can't give us money, that's fine. We like the reviews. You know, those 5-star reviews gets people to listen to the program. Share it with a friend. If you've got tips, we have people who send us notes on articles they think we would like. If you got a bad joke, any of that stuff, that certainly helps out the program. It's a value for value type of model. It helps make things better. Also, let us know if you like the program or not.
Or what we can do to make it better for you.
Mm-hmm. So if you are, you can go to our website. You click on any of the episodes we have linked in the website, and that will bring up a page that will have the right column will have a Patreon link. Or you can go directly to Patreon, patreon.com/Scuba Obsessed. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/Scuba Obsessed. We're on Twitter at Scuba Obsessed. Any of those are great ways to get a hold of us. And we appreciate it. You know, here we are on the 12, 13 seasons now of doing the program, well over 500 episodes. Someday we'll figure this out. You know, usually maybe you don't want us to figure it out because that's the time where we'd say we're done. It's no fun anymore. It goes too smooth. We need more aggravation when it doesn't.
When has it ever gone smooth?
I don't know. I'm amazed. For as long as I've been in the information technology field, this is just enough unknown variables that aren't quite up to snuff. So a lot of work goes into making sure that this happens. But we enjoy doing it overall. So thank you very much. And are you ready for that time of the show?
Yes, I am.
Let's see, I think we should still be streaming. I don't think anybody's in the chat room, so they won't be able to critique us on our bad joke. I think I've got one or two. Let me see. I'm trying to get stuff queued up here. Yep. I think so. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. What do you call an overweight monk going scuba diving? A deep, fat friar.
Ooh.
Yeah. I didn't know if that would be enough. So here's one. We can blame somebody who's typically in the chat room for this one. We won't throw her under the bus right away, but I may edit it out. We'll just have to see how it goes. So here it is. One day, a man who had been stranded on a desert island for over 10 years saw a speck on the horizon. He thought to himself, it's certainly not a ship. And as the speck got closer and closer, he began to rule out the possibilities of a small boat or even a raft. Suddenly, there emerged from the surf a wetsuited, black-clad figure. Putting aside the scuba gear and on top of the wetsuit, there stood a drop-dead, gorgeous blonde woman. The glamorous blonde strode up to the man and said to him, "Tell me, how long have you been here since you've had any cigarettes?" 10 years, replied the amazed man. With that, she reached over and zipped a waterproof pocket from the left sleeve of her wetsuit, pulled out a fresh pack of cigarettes. He takes one, lights it, takes a long drag. Well, faith and begorra, the man says. That is so good, I almost forgotten what it's like, how great a smoke can be. And how long has it been since you've had a good drop of whiskey? Asked the blonde. Trembling, the castaway replied, 10 years. Hearing that, the blonde reaches in her right sleeve, unzips a pocket there, and removes a flask and hands it to him. He opens a flask and took a long drink. The nectar of gods, stated the man. 'Tis truly fantastic. At this point, the gorgeous blonde started to slowly unzip the front of her wetsuit right down the middle. She looked at the trembling man and asked, "And how long has it been since you've played around?" With tears in his eye, the Irishman fell to his knees and sobbed, "Sweet Jesus, don't tell me you've got golf clubs in there too."
I've heard that one. That's always good.
Yeah. Well, everybody has a different priority after 10 years of what they miss.
I suppose.
So on that note, go out there and get wet.
And stay safe.